we're going to just wait for some people to tune in before I do the whole hello Motor Rider World fans, because no one ever hears me when I do that because no one's tuned in yet.
That's true. Any comments up?
No. Wait. It takes like about, it's 15 seconds. It takes about 20 seconds. There we go. 20 seconds, then people come. There we go. Grant Johnson, Stephen LaRue, Ryan Bland, Grant Johnson, Mitchell Boyce. Evening, gents. Hello, everyone. Chris Hoyle, I think it is, or Holy. Clyde.
I'm trying to read all that. Holy cow, it's coming thick and fast.
Yeah, it is. It is coming thick and fast. So we're just going to give a couple more seconds for everyone to join. If everyone can just tell us, can you see, hear me and Don fine? Just check and let us know, please, before we introduce the guests for the evening. Bryce Weeder, Wilness Abers, Daryl Norton, Trisha Moorman, of course, has joined in. Conrad Briel, Willem Fick, Tyron Berry, Darryn Brown, Grant Johnson again, soundcheck good. Yep, Meg Cronus, I hope I said that right, says it's all perfect. Vessels van Wyk. So, yeah, we've got a lot of people. We've got 235 people joining in already, and that number is climbing by the second because they've come to see me and you, Don. That's the only reason why they've come.
Yeah, I know. Why else would they be here?
Okay, so everybody, thank you so much for joining in. I'm going to just keep letting you all come in. We've got a very, very special treat lined up for you. You would have seen that we've advertised. We're going to be speaking to Darryn Binder first, and then followed by his less talented brother, Brad Binder, after that. So please, we're going to try and keep this as fan-friendly as possible. You know, when I started Motor Rider World almost a year ago now, it was, my tagline's been for everyone, by everyone. So a couple of nights ago I did Stephen Windall, and it was awesome having the fan interaction. So please send your questions, but please know that, Don, you'll confirm here with me. I mean, they just flash up in a flash.
No,
so,
it's like as I'm reading something, it's gone. Like
yeah,
the oxygen is there, now it's gone. Now there's Graham Johnson. Oh, no, sorry, Graham's gone. So,
Carmen Fisher says, how's it? So if we don't, if we see your question, cool. If we don't, please, it's not that we're ignoring you. It's just that there's so many coming up here. Please keep it neat and tidy for us. We want to try, we are a Rob Portman, you're pixelated. Yeah, but that's better for you.
But yeah, I was going to say, people prefer you pixelated.
Yeah, no, it's fine. Nicholas Kershaw's in the house, the Moormans, Gray Dick, of course, the very talented, it's a very famous name in South African motorcycle racing. John McLaughlin, Ronaldo Poultron, everybody is joining in the house. So, ladies and gentlemen, without further ado, for the over 370 people we've got now, I would like to introduce, first off, one of, if not the most exciting motorcycle talents I've seen ride a motorbike in my life. He is a headline rider. He's an extraordinary human being. He's a fantastic person. And he is our first guest for the evening. Ladies and gentlemen, I want the biggest standing ovation. I want you to clap so hard that it'll knock some sense into Eskom and our president. Please put your hands together for Petronas SRT Honda Moto3 rider, Mr. Darryn Binder.
Hey, how's it going, guys? Hello to everyone that's joining in. Yeah.
How's that for an introduction, guys? How's that?
I loved it. Thank you very much. Really, really appreciate it.
I can't do better than that. I don't even give Donovan those kind of introductions. So you're very, very lucky.
No, he's just like, unfortunately, we have to tune into Donovan now because he's here and he's swearing at me. Anyway, ladies and gentlemen, Donovan Free.
Daz, thank you so much for joining us, taking the time out. You've got 5 weeks, so I actually don't feel too bad. You're doing nothing for the next 5 weeks. Like I said, we're going to be getting a lot of fans' questions coming in. I think the natural place to start is obviously to clear up the incident that happened at Assen. And I'm just going to, before I get your side of the story, from my side, I know, being personally involved with you and the family, it's been a long, hard road for both you, the family, and Brad. But more so for you, you've had a lot. Let's just say your hill's been a little bit steeper than Brad's. And correct me if I'm wrong, but Sunday's reaction to what happened was just pure frustration at a situation that's happened far too many times without explanation. So, a lot of people obviously look at it as it's being aimed somewhere or that, but it was very much just a case of, when we cut you open, you bleed the same blood as us. And I think people forget that you're a human being, and it was a human, natural frustration comment, was it not?
Yeah, unfortunately, I just let my emotions get the best of me at the time, and it wasn't directly pointed at anyone. And it was kind of just camera happened to be pointing in the perfect direction at the wrong time. It wasn't a good thing, but unfortunately, it happens. I was just super frustrated, and what can I do?
I want to know, okay, for the people asking at home, so you got dropped 3 positions. Why was it 3? Because they didn't make it very clear. It was like, well, they showed you went off on one corner, and that was pretty much it.
Yeah, so obviously my team is they back me 110%. Through everything this year, we've gone and we've fought everything, and they're always there pushing for me. So straight after the race, they ran up to race direction to obviously try and fight it, to understand why they have doctors and whatever. They wouldn't show any of the videos of like really something special, but basically I got docked 3 because they say that I touched in turn 12, the one that they showed on the TV, and they say that I touched again in turn 15, which is the long left coming through to the chicane where I passed the 2 guys on the brake. So that's why they docked me 3 places, they say, and unfortunately there was no fighting that one. That was it. I got given that penalty, and so I mean, it is what it is. I feel like if I didn't have that moment in going through turn 15, like with 3 laps to go, I wouldn't have had to have pushed as hard that last 2 laps to try and catch back up, and I'm on my own now.
Yeah, no, it's fine. I want people to stare at you more than me. And
Okay. Well, so basically that's it. I mean.
Okay, hang on. Now I got to figure out how to get it. I'm trying to be this like really good director. Like I'm trying to make it all professional, and I'm just cocking and I'm just keeping it up. So Daz, I think look, there was mixed emotions from that. There were a lot of people coming out and saying, to be honest, I use that exact same language. Luckily, there's no cameras with 16 billion people watching me. But I use that same frustration when I see that happen to you. And, a couple of people came out and said it was a bad reflection. You're a professional, whatever. I think we're not going to even harp on about it anymore. We're going to end it right here, that it was purely frustration. It was a human emotion. And in a way, I think it's, I look at the positive side that if there was no reaction from you after everything you've been through, I kind of would have looked at it and went, well, this guy seems quite happy to be getting penalized. And I think the reaction, if I look deeper into the reaction, I just look at it as a passionate rider that's been through a lot, that's doing everything he can to make his dream of being a world champion come true. And I think that's very much that. So you've given your side of the story. Let's hope that we can get a little bit more clarity going forward. I think that, as far as fans are concerned, that's all we want. But like you said, at the end of the day, these things happen. Stephen Windall said the other night in his, these things happen, you move on, you get with the program. First question was from, now you see I've lost it. It was 16 million comments ago. But it's probably one of the questions that a lot of people are asking, actually, if I look here. Moto2 next year, can you tell us anything?
Yeah, well, I mean, right now my goal is 100% to go to Moto2. Obviously, I would love to go up with the Petronas team. So, yeah, just doing my best right now to try and be as far up in the championship, and hopefully they take me up and put me on the Moto2 bike.
And has there been any talk, sorry, Don, has there been any talk with these 2 spots now open in MotoGP? Has there been any talk of, let's just throw Darryn on a MotoGP bike?
Every time I walk into the hospitality and see Razlan and Stiggy sitting there, I say, guys, I'm more than happy to jump straight. If you guys want, just put the paper in front of me. I'll jump now if you like. So yeah, I throw myself out there all the time and chuck it at them. I say, guys, please, I'd love to jump straight if you give me the opportunity. But if not, just take me to Moto2 and I'll also be very happy.
I want to know a little bit about the sprinters team. You've been with them. Well, when we last spoke to you, I think you had just joined them and you didn't really know much about what was going to happen and all that. How's it been going? How do you find them? How different are they to your previous teams?
Yeah, every team's a little bit different, but yeah, this team it's been great so far. Really, I've really enjoyed my year so far, and I'd really love to have a long future with them. I mean, obviously, that's not only Moto3, there's Moto2 and MotoGP, so there's a lot of people involved in the team, but it's a really quite like a tight-knitted team. Like, you hit dinner on a Sunday night and there's all the riders, all the mechanics, everything. We all go out together. It's really cool. Like, everybody's super friendly. The bosses are always involved, in the same hotels as us and everything. And yeah, I've really, really enjoyed it. And yeah, I mean, I've got such a cool team this year. With all the trouble we've had and everything that we've been through, it's, everybody just carries on, keeps pushing for the best. And yeah, I really enjoyed it this year so far.
You seem more confident this year. It's just, your demeanor and the way you ride and the way you're in the pack, you just seem like you're more kind of, I don't know whether it's the bike or whether it's a team, but I mean, the whole package, Darryn, the package just seems more together this year.
Yeah, I mean, I came into this year and I knew exactly what I wanted to do, and coming in and obviously meeting the team and getting to know them and they could give me everything that I wanted, and we worked so well together from the beginning. But yeah, unfortunately, it started off amazing. I mean, the first 2 rounds, that was it. I was like, geez, we set for a good year. But yeah, we went through a little bit of a rough patch. But yeah, I mean, we managed to kind of find our feet again, and I'm really happy at least now. The last 3 rounds or 4 rounds, I was in the points again, even with the ride through. So yeah, I mean, if I didn't have those string of three zeros, I would have been always in the top 5 and on the podium. So it's been good.
Tell Courtney to turn the microwave off in the background. She can stop making food for a couple of minutes.
But I'm hungry. I'm not stopping that.
Okay, so first question from one of our viewers, Taste Brits. How tough is it to determine when to make your move in the Moto3 races? Being as crazy as they are, we've seen it's pretty much a gamble in all the races as to who makes the best move in the last few corners. So to summarize that, Daz, do you start the race and go, stay, 3 laps to go, I go?
Yeah, it's been super difficult this year to plan anything. Like Assen, you could have kind of planned, because Assen was actually probably the first half decent race we've had this whole year, where there was no stupid fighting. There was fast people that set the pace in the front, broke the group away, and it was actually a race between 7 of us in the end, and the pace was fast. So that kind of race you kind of plan, like a lot of the time I was in the front, I left Foggia just setting the pace, because I knew obviously I'm way too slow in the straight, so he's just going to come flying past anyway. So I'll just stick behind him, and I mean, I would have liked to have been right behind him with 2 laps to go and just stayed in that second to plan a proper attack on the last lap, and fight. I probably would have done it into the last chicane because I felt really strong there. I mean, I managed to pass 2 guys there going on the last lap, and I came from miles back. So that race you could kind of plan, but I mean, like Barcelona, it was impossible to plan. I mean, some laps I would go into the straight in 9th and I'd stay in 9th, and the next lap I'd come in 9th and I'd go to 1st. Or I'd come in on 1st, stay in 1st. The next lap I'm in 1st, and then I come across and I'm 13th. So those races were impossible. I mean, I know I messed up in Barcelona when the guys sat up and started playing silly buggers like that. I should have just waited myself. But I've been in situations like that before where I've waited and I've got caught out, and I feel like if I'd just gone, I might have actually been better off, So I try to go, but at the same time, I got held up too much before I went. So by going, I was screwing myself because I came onto the straight with no speed. So like a place like that, it was hopeless. I went into the first corner 13th. So that was terrible.
I want to know, okay, the Honda this year. I mean, again, last time we spoke to you, sort of, I think you had just ridden it or something. How is it sort of comparing this year? I mean, it was kind of weird because and we keep laughing about this. Last year, it was a whole lot of Hondas and 1 or 2 KTMs. This year, it's a whole lot of KTMs and 1 or 2 Hondas. What's the story there?
So yeah, basically, I mean, I really like the Honda. I think it's a great bike. It handles so well, especially at the fast tracks. Like, you know, when we arrived at Aston and I went out and I came and I was like, yes, guys, this is something special. Like the bike felt insane. But yeah, every year it's changing. I mean, one year the one bike's strong, the next year the next is strong, and this year I feel like I'm missing a little bit of acceleration compared to the KTMs. I feel like they're a little bit faster, but at the same time, I'm just so heavy. I mean, yeah, I'm way too heavy for Moto3 right now. I can't lose more weight. So right now, I just deal with it. I've always had slow bikes, and it's always been because I've been too heavy. So it is what it is, and I just can't wait to get on something with the power.
Daz, there was talk. I know after that whole Catalunya thing and I was actually talking to your dad about it the other day. There was talk about potentially making Moto3 a bigger capacity class. I mean, has there been more talk of that in the paddock? Do you think, personally, I think it's something they could look at to eliminate this having to take toes. You know, it would even out the playing field that little bit more. I mean, what is your feelings on it?
I haven't really heard much about that in the paddock, but to be honest, I don't really get involved too much in the paddock radio talk. But yeah, in my eyes, I 100% agree that they should definitely chuck a bit more power into Moto3 to really be able to see what the people are who's really fast in that. Because right now I feel like you can't really see who's really talented in Moto3 and who's not, because at some of these tracks, it's been a joke. I mean, when everybody sits up and you're 3 seconds off what you qualified on in a lap, I mean, anybody can be in a group and anybody can be around there. So I feel like, yeah, if they could definitely throw a bit more power into it, I think it would definitely be a good thing.
I want to know the tires on Moto3 bikes. I mean, people, they talk about like, I think you very often take the soft where many people don't. And I know people are often commentate and be like, Darryn's on the soft. Will that last? But then maybe it's just from the outside you can't see it, but it doesn't. To be honest, from the outside, it doesn't look like it makes much of a difference which tire you're on in Moto3. Do you always take the soft? Does it make such a big difference?
Yeah, so I've always preferred the soft, but it definitely depends on the track. Like a place like Mugello, for instance, and also Sachsenring. Between the soft and the hard, there was almost nothing in it. Like they were so similar. And then you get other tracks where the soft will maybe have a bit more of an advantage. So yeah, it's purely up to your preference. They're really close. So at the end of the day, they both have a drop. And they normally come around the same time anyway. It's just that maybe with the hard, it's a little bit not as fast in the beginning, and the drop you might not go as slow, whereas the soft you might be a bit fast in the beginning and the drop might be a tiny bit more. But yeah, I don't know. I've always favored the soft because I find that that's what helps me brake so late. And as long as I've got rear grip, I'm able to stop the bike no matter what. So that's why I've always like the soft so much. And I find that when the H drops, it's no better than when the S drops. So yeah, I normally try and favor the S. The only place that I really regretted it was in Portimao, where I started from pit lane. I feel like because I tried to push so hard in the beginning, just riding alone, I think I killed the tire completely. And I mean, that race, the other guys ended up catching me, and they got themselves to the group where I couldn't even keep up with them because my tire was just dead after like 10 laps. So that was the only real track where where I've regretted that. But yeah, I mean, in a place like Mugello, I would have happily have raced the H. Like there was really not much in it, but at the end of the day, I felt like the soft maybe would benefit me just to be able to brake a bit later and stop the bike.
Okay, back to some fan questions, and a couple of people have asked this question. What is your impression of Pedro Acosta? Edwin's asking here, Devon's asked, is Acosta that good, or has he just been lucky in a Moto3 season that's been a little bit inconsistent? You've been up there, then you've had bad luck, and he's had bad luck, but he seems to have not had the full grunt of bad luck.
Yeah, I think, look, at the beginning when he was there, I was like, geez, okay, like when he won from pit lane in Qatar, I was quite upset with myself. I'm like, how can this guy, come from pit lane and beat me? I was really upset, and I was like, no, yes. But the race was super slow again because of the big group and stuff. So anyway, but yeah, I think he is definitely a really good rider. I mean, he's always there. He's always thereabouts. He always seems to find himself in the right place at the right time and make it happen. So I do feel like he's definitely had a bit of luck on his side, but at the same time, that's not all luck if you get it right so many times. So yeah, I think he's definitely a good rider, and he seems to be quite a cool guy. I mean, he's very chilled. He's just a young boy, but he's quiet. And yeah, I mean, we've had some good races this year.
I want to know, okay, you just spoke about races this year. What's been your favorite? What are you looking forward to after the break?
I think my favorite race of this year would have to be Assen, because it was a real race in my eyes. Like, put my head down, and every single lap I was pushing as hard as I could. And, I was fighting with the guys, but at the same time, we were still really fast. And it came down to a small group where, there was nobody sitting up and who's going to be in the slip for the straight and whatever. Everyone was just pushing. So yeah, I really enjoyed Assen. It didn't work out the way I wanted it to. Obviously, I made the mistake with 3 laps to go, and I feel like that cost me the most when I ran wide. But yeah, it was a good race, and I hope that there's more like that coming.
And then Daz, I watch you like at Assen, and I watch you everywhere else, and I'm actually going to record my brother the next time we watch a Darryn Binder Moto3 race, because he wants to throw everything at the TV, because he goes, look how slow Darren's bike is. Why does he even bother? Why is he even racing? His bike's so slow, he might as well just quit. It just looks like you spend, like at Assen, it looked like you spent the whole lap pushing so hard to make up that 3, 4, sometimes half a second that you lose coming out of the turns and down the straights, just to get yourself in a position close enough to pass. I mean, is that the case? Is it just like you are this every single lap to keep yourself in the fight, and then you still have to, you have to make those passing 2 guys in the chicane, because that's the only way you can get it done. You don't have a Dennis Foggia Honda that seems to have the bigger capacity Moto3 bike that we're talking about. It just doesn't look like you have that advantage of speed. You've got to make everything up with corner speed, with brakes, to get yourself in that position and keep yourself there.
Yeah, it's not too bad at the tracks where we come onto the straights and stuff in like higher gears, and when the straights are super long, then I can get myself into the slip in that. But where we come onto the straights in like first gear and it's just all about acceleration, then yeah, I really seem to struggle. I feel like I'm the whole race, just always throughout the whole race, I'm trying to just ride as wide lines, clean lines, just always focusing on the exit to try and get the best possible exit so that I'm in the slip, because otherwise I feel like I lose too much. And that's one of the things I hate about these big groups is, like, in a fast lap, let's say in a quad lap, yeah, sure, everybody's always trying to follow and stuff, but it's nice if you just like have somebody quite a bit further in front of you and you run these super wide lines and stuff and keep as much corner speed as you can and that, and you can put a lap together. But in the race, when there's that huge group and they stop dead in the middle of a corner, it drives me absolutely nuts during the race, because I feel like I lose 2 or 3 places every time we see a straight. And then, I always try and fight my way back as clean as I can, but sometimes you got to do these dodgy moves. But yeah, I mean, that's why I just want to get on a Moto2 now.
I want to ask, okay, so we can tell that, you're obviously being overtaken down the straight. I can also tell that it very often looks like you're just getting held up in corners. Is that how, I mean, I'm not asking you to blow your own trumpet, but I mean, is that sort of the case? Do you think your corner speed you carry and all of that compared to your straight line speed, is it really that much better? Are you sitting behind other riders in the middle of the corner going, what the hell are you doing? And my other thing is, are people noticing it? I mean, people in the paddock, Moto2 teams, all of that kind of stuff. Is anybody actually, mentioning this?
Obviously, I feel like when I ride with the guys that, look, there is obviously guys that are just as fast and whatever. And like I said, like the race in Aston, I didn't feel like I was getting held up that much, but I felt like I was losing more just on the acceleration because of my weight and that. So, yeah, but obviously, like with my team and that, they've got to know me now. And I think everybody had a kind of an idea of me from my past, from what I've done. And not a lot of people have always liked me and that. And I think now that these guys have got to work with me and actually seen how I ride and that, they've, like my crew chief, he turned around and said to me, he's like, yes, he wasn't too sure about me coming to Honda this year and obviously into the team and that. He didn't know how it would work and that. And he's been really impressed with my riding style and how I ride and how I adapt to things. And yeah, I mean, it's really nice. And I think I surprised quite a lot of people this year when I got on the Honda and like I can still brake late and stuff, because people said that my riding style was best suited for KTM, and that's why I could brake so late and stuff. I could use the advantages, but at the end of the day, not much has changed. I'm still just as strong.
Yeah, another fan question here, Nicole Breert. Darryn Binder, are you allowed to go and sit in Brad Binder pit box with his team before your race? How is that relationship now that it's Monster, Red Bull, Honda, KTM?
So yeah, I used to always go and visit Brad every time. Obviously, I know his whole team really well and everybody involved in Red Bull and KTM. But yeah, this year I haven't gone and sat in his box or anything. I think now there is a little bit of a conflict, obviously, with Monster and Red Bull and that. So yeah, I don't want to obviously step on anyone's toes or anything. But yeah, I still see everybody in the paddock and that, and all his team and all the people, and we're all still on good terms, so. But yeah, I don't think they'd appreciate me walking into the Red Bull box with a Monster hat on.
Okay, you got 5 weeks. What's the sort of plan for 5 weeks? I mean, is it all just relax, or is there like some sort of ideas of training or prepping or anything like that? What's going to happen now?
Yeah, so normally on this nice 5-week break, I would come home to sunny South Africa in winter. But yeah, unfortunately with the COVID and stuff now, I just can't risk coming home and getting stuck. And I don't really want to come home and just sit inside. So yeah, I'm just hanging out this side, and I haven't trained the last 3 days. I've just taken them off. I've been chilling, messing around at the house. And yeah, obviously I'm going to just carry on training, ride as much as I can, and yeah, just chill out, enjoy it. Things are at least not so locked down here. We can do things, and I've actually been staying up in Andorra, where they've got some really, really cool downhills, and they got the gondolas to take you up for the days you're feeling lazy. So that's awesome.
I was going to bring that in, that you guys have actually made the move now. You're not living in your house in Spain. You and Brad and Courts are in Andorra. And speaking to Brad before we came on air here, he says it's like being in the MotoGP paddock, because you look out your window and it's Jack Miller, Quartararo in his Ferrari, Arenas, Schrotter, all the guys are there.
Yeah, it's crazy. It's literally the MotoGP paddock is here. I mean, even all the way until Simon Craig, the commentator, he's also living here, I phoned him up yesterday. I'm like, Simon, please, do you have a battery charger for me? My motocross bike's battery was flat. So he came down and gave me a battery charger. So it's really cool in a sense. But yeah, if you're trying to get away from the paddock, it's not happening here.
Did Simon Craig bring you the battery charger? pen to your ear or for an hour, or did he just drop the battery charger?
Simon pulled in, and by the time he left, the battery was full, so he could take the charger with him.
I was going to say, just about every single weekend, Simon Crayford finds you in particular and sticks a microphone in your face. I mean, what's with that? I obviously know something.
He's super cool. He means well, and he's always out there with all the riders' best interests. So he's cool.
Okay, we got another fan question here. Aubrey Lebocon. How often do you engage or get advice from Petronas MotoGP and Moto2 riders? I saw one picture where Jake Dixon was sitting next to you as if he was encouraging you. I mean, before you fully answer that question, how has it been where you're sitting in a team where you've got Rossi, you've got Morbidelli, you've got Vieira, you've got Dixon? I mean, is it a case of you go sit next to them at lunch and say, hey guys, listen, what can I do here? How can I do this?
Yeah, I personally haven't gone and asked for any advice or anything from any of them. Sometimes it's a bit difficult. I mean, we speak about track conditions and stuff. Like if you've seen, like sometimes because Moto3 is before Moto2, like Jake likes to come in and speak about the track conditions, and if I've also spoken to them about that type of stuff, and I'm sure they're more than willing to give any advice if you ask. But at the same time, it's something that you probably better off dealing with your own team with, speaking to your crew chief, looking over the data to see exactly what you need to do. And if it is something to do on your side from if you need to change up your line or something, I'm sure you could go speak to them, or I could even go speak to Brad and see what he said. But those type of things, I sometimes find that it's better to just, stay focused with your team. And if everybody's on the same page and you're all working together, then it's a good thing.
So I'm reading a whole lot of the questions here, and I don't think I'm allowed to ask most of these.
No.
What have you got there, Lord Cliff Diver? You know the story about why he's called Ducati? That side. Why he's called Ducati Cliff Diver? You know about that?
No, tell me. Why is Uncle Rob called Ducati Cliff Diver?
He rode a Ducati off a cliff. A nice, big, expensive multi-strider off the cliff. Rob, take it away. Go on, tell the guy.
So I was trying to do a dive on Darryn on my brother, and it just didn't work out. Long story short, going through Robber's Pass, which is now Rob's Pass, got a tight left-hander wrong. Was watching my brother get it completely wrong. Once I realized he was okay, I looked up and the end of the earth was there, and I rode a Ducati off a cliff.
Luckily, it was on a small cliff.
I'm allowed to tell the story.
It can't be too bad if you still,
Well, I am made of steel. I'm from Boksburg, and our water here is Superman's blood. So I'm as tough as they come. It was scary. Listen, it was the worst thing I've ever had to deal with in my life. I still have nightmares about it. So don't.
I'm glad you're right, but I'm glad you're right.
Passing 2 oaks into a final chicane in Aston is easy compared to jumping off the cliff, I can promise you.
I'll rather stick to the track.
He went off a cliff. The steward still gave him a 3-place penalty. It was really
No. Let's not bring them into this. I'm just trying to look for. I had another really good question.
Mark Landsberg was a good one there.
Where's that now?
Yeah, first of all, about that wheelie. You had that slow motion wheelie coming out of the last chicane. That was cool. It's not a question. That was cool.
Well, that's actually something so this weekend they brought out this nice rule as well, that if you cut that last chicane, they cancel the next lap because you've gained an advantage coming to the straight. So that lap, I was actually on quite a decent lap. Like I was coming on one of my personal best at the time in qualifying, and I cooked it into that chicane. But I didn't want to just pick it up and cut the chicane because then they cancel my next lap. So I got it stopped, got it turned and I had to turn so much more than normal that when I picked it up, it just wheelied, and I didn't expect it to lift so much, but it did. And obviously Messi had been chasing me, and he was also on his personal best lap. So he tried to get past me, and he has me on the back wheel. It looked super cool, but yeah, it wasn't ideal. But yeah, a lot of people are like, why didn't you just cut the chicane? You know, you're like, well, then they cancel my next lap. So yeah, it was one of those things.
Okay. So we keep talking about this, and Rob and I on our own, almost Ducati Cliff Driver on our own. Do you think they've got too many rules? I mean, it just is a point now where it's like, what comes out in qualifying and what the actual starting grid looks like is always just two completely different things. Should they just try and find a way of making it more simple or something? Is it a big problem?
Yeah, I feel like we're heading in the complete wrong direction. I mean, to me, this is not what racing is. I really wish that they would calm down a little bit. I feel like all these things are making it worse. And I wish that they would just simplify the rules a bit and also just be more firm on them, be like, okay, this is what's written and this is what it is. If it's written there, it's the same for everybody. It doesn't matter whether it's FP1 or the race. But yeah, I really believe that we're getting to a point now where it's getting a bit ridiculous in my eyes, and I really don't like it. I mean, I just want to go out there and race my motorbike. The things that are happening are just ridiculous. I mean, a ride through for making myself look like an idiot after crashing into the side of somebody coming out of pit lane. I mean, making a fool out of myself is enough of a penalty. Disqualifying me from qualifying and giving me a ride through, I felt like it was a bit too much. So yeah, I'd really love if they'd slow down a little bit on the penalties.
Okay, we've got a. Oh, now you see, now I've gone in.
What have you done?
Here's a question. Great Dick, my son wants to know what sport you played at school.
I tried a bit of everything when I was in school, to be honest, when I was just quite young. And then as soon as I got into the motorbikes, I kind of stopped doing the school sports because, I don't know, I was just a kid that I hated school. So I just wanted to go home after school. I didn't want to stay for after school activities. So I didn't really do much. But yeah, tried a bit of cricket, a little bit of rugby, hockey, swimming. But yeah, I wouldn't say that I was very good at any of them.
I can tell you now, I was a pro at kissing catches. I can tell you now that was my best sport.
I was going to say, when you do start actual bike racing, I mean, also people won't believe it now. I used to play tennis and cricket and all that rubbish. Yeah. And I did my first bike race, and I arrived at school on Monday, and there were all the people busy, like they used to oil their cricket bats, and this was like a big thing, and they used to oil your cricket bats. And you come in on Monday after your first race, and you look at the guys oiling their cricket bats, you're like, it's just a plank, guys. It's a piece of wood. Who gives it? I want to know quickly. So, speaking of kids and all that, okay. So, youngsters wanting to get into bike racing, they want to, it's their dream to become Darryn and Brad Binder, all that kind of stuff. Just trying to simplify it as much as you can. I mean, what does it take to get to where you are right now?
In the beginning, it all just started out as going out to do like a bit of a family activity on the weekend. It was always me and brother, my mom and my dad. And it was more just of going out and enjoying yourself. It was for fun. I really loved having fun and going out. And obviously you make lots of friends in the racing community, and it becomes like your second home almost at the track. But yeah, as things rolled on and it got more serious and you started racing overseas and stuff, then you kind of had to make the decision whether you were all in or not, because there's a lot of sacrifices that had to be made to get to where we are. But I mean, from where I am now, 100%, I'd go through them all over again, even if I didn't get to the point where I am now, because it's just been awesome. As tough as it's been and whatever, I mean, if you go out there and you're racing against the best guys in the world, there's nothing better. So to anyone who's starting out racing, I mean, just have fun and always enjoy it. Even if you get to the point where it's getting serious and stuff and it's maybe not going your way, just think about the good times and what you're doing and just go out there and enjoy riding your bike.
Nice.
Best advice I've ever heard.
Nice. Yeah, well, not good answer, Des. That's why we love you so much. Yes, you're a beautiful man. Jacques Finter, I like these kind of questions because they're general. We've all asked you questions about how's the Honda and KTM, and we've heard it. Now, these kind of questions I like because it's just questions that you probably don't get asked that often, and it's general questions that us spectators on the outside, we kind of wonder about, So Jacques Finter says, how many helmets and sets of leathers do you guys typically have available, and are they replaced even after small crashes?
So yeah, basically with leathers and helmets, you've got 4 helmets at all times in your trailer, and with the leathers on the rack, you've got 4 leathers on the rack. And yeah, if you have a really small crash, they normally do touch them up and repair them. But if it's a pretty decent crash, they take them off and you get a new set, or they obviously take them and take the whole arm off or whatever and repair them and bring them back. But yeah, so at all times we've got four sets of stuff ready to go in through every weekend. So if you have a really bad weekend and you crash 3 suits, the next weekend they bring you 3 new ones. So yeah, I'm really fortunate to be with such great companies that look after us so well, and yeah, it's nice to always look great.
Do you have an airbag in your suit?
Unfortunately, I do.
Fortunately.
Yeah, it's just extra weight.
And what's it like when one of those
I
go
can
off?
take
I
it
mean,
out,
it's
I
like,
wouldn't take it out.
yeah.
Yeah, the airbag, I mean, it's actually it's a really good thing when it works, and if like you have a big house out and it deploys and you land, it's a little bit like more cushion and that. So yeah, it's definitely a great thing from the safety aspect, but it's just the extra weight in Moto3, and I wish I didn't have it. But yeah, when they go off, you definitely feel it. It's like quite hard, and because our leathers are obviously so like made to measure, they're so tight already. When that thing pops, you definitely feel it.
Yeah, there was a good question here. Obviously, we've had a couple of people ask your relationship with John McPhee. How has that progressed? I know when we spoke to you at the beginning of the year, it was, yeah, we're mates. We saw you guys go out in qualifying and work together in practice and that. How is that relationship now halfway through the year?
Yeah, I mean, John, he's a super cool guy. We've always got along well before, obviously being teammates, and we're getting along just fine now as teammates. So yeah, I mean, obviously, we always try and help each other out on track and work things out. But yes, lately it's been difficult in the qualifyings and stuff in Moto3, the way everything goes. Me and him can go out and just work together and do the best we can, and then these guys that go out and get behind a group of 10 bikes, go and do this insane lap, and then we're not fast enough, so it's difficult in that aspect. But yeah, we do try to help each other as much as we can, and I feel like we're still just as good of mates. He is also up here in Andorra, so he's just 5 minutes up the road, so I've seen him quite a bit even away from the track. So yeah, it's cool.
Okay, so we're gonna round up with you because I can see you're very hungry. So we're gonna get a last couple of questions here, and I can smell the food Courtney's cooking.
What is Courtney making for supper?
Yeah, what is Courtney making?
I think it's chicken, and see some potatoes. I'm not exactly sure, but yeah, from what I can see, it looks like chicken and potatoes and something else, maybe some salad.
I think everyone should have a Courtney.
Everyone should have a Courtney. This is a good question because we know motorcycle racing is a dangerous sport. It's also heavily reliant on mental strength and being confident. So William asks here, does the passing of Jason affect you psychologically on the track? And I mean, going back to, unfortunately, the incident, you weren't too far behind in that. How does it affect you seeing that and going into the next session and going racing on Sunday, knowing what happened?
Yeah, that was really sad. I mean, I was really not far behind in the qualifying. So when he crashed, I came around maybe like 2 seconds after or so, and I saw him laying there. And I actually, because the guy in front of me obviously had seen what happened, so he dropped the throttle, and I swerved right. to see what like obviously to pass him and miss him, because I was pushing on a quali lap and I saw this obviously Jason laying on the ground, and I swerved back so quickly to make sure I missed him. And yeah, I mean, that was scary. And to see a guy laying there like that, it's not good. And luckily that was the last session of the day. But the whole afternoon it was in my mind, like I knew that things went well with him, and it was very, I don't know how to explain it. It wasn't nice. It was horrible, to be honest. And then the next day, obviously, no one said anything, like he hadn't passed yet, or, everyone was still just pushing for him, had him in our prayers and in our thoughts, hoping that he would pull through. And then, unfortunately, after the race, they said that he had passed. But, I mean, when you're out on track, you know that those are the risks, and that can happen. And, I mean, when you're riding, you're really not thinking of it. And if you are, you're definitely not going to be on pace. So, it's the most unfortunate side of our sport, but it is what it is. I know that he died doing what he loved, and I'm sure he would have zero regrets on the way he left. So
well put, well put, and rest in peace. We'll never forget him. Obviously, condolences to him, family, everyone involved there. There's just quickly last couple of ones. There was a question here from a lady, Shanae Vekrius. Is a balance bike a great start for a 3-year-old? Quickly just answer that, and then I've got one last question for you.
Yeah, I'm pretty sure a balance bike is a good way to start for a 3-year-old. I mean, any bike. I remember starting out on my little plastic bike. Those things were the bomb with your 2 wheels at the back. And yeah, I think balance bike would be sweet.
What's a balance bike?
Balance bike, man.
I think it's that one with like just nothing in the middle. Yeah.
Yeah.
What?
No pedal. It's a bicycle with no pedal.
Yeah.
Husqvarna and KTM and them do them now. You get electric ones, and you get ones that you just push with your feet, but there's no pedals. So you literally push with your feet, and then you put your feet up and you balance. But yeah, I remember, Daz, you and Brad both growing up. I remember your dad. One weekend you were doing trials. One weekend you were doing motocross. One weekend you were out at Midval doing track stuff. So, Shanae, to answer that question, if you are looking to get your son or daughter into racing, motorbike racing is very much about being consistent and being on it as often as you possibly can. Practice makes perfect, very much so in motorcycle racing. It also builds confidence, and that's how you go fast. Last question for you, Daz, before we say goodbye to you and bring your slightly slower brother in. Aiden Mizzen, quick one. Where do you see yourself in 2 years?
Well, I mean, if everything goes to plan, if I can move up into Moto2 next year, I mean, everybody's big contracts end next year, so there's going to be there's already a lot of shuffling around this year that was unexpected. But at the end of next year, there's definitely going to be a lot of moving around in the MotoGP class. And if I can go out and absolutely kill it in Moto2 next year, I would like to see myself going straight into MotoGP the following year. And, that's what you got to set your goal at the end of the day. And that's what I aim to do. So I really want to go to Moto2. I want to kill it, and I want to go straight to MotoGP.
Yes. You see, that is why you're a beautiful man. Like, really, it's just, what to say. I like this new Darryn Binder 4.0. Answer questions. He's like, before he came on air, Brad was sitting in a T-shirt, and then he looks up at Darryn, and he's like, geez, I think I need to be more professional like Darryn. He's got his team shirt on, his cap, looking all professional. So Brad quickly going to run and get his KTM shirt. Daz, big thanks again, my bad, for taking the time out to chat to us. I promise you don't believe how big the Darryn Binder brand is here in South Africa. You really have come alive this year. It's an absolute pleasure watching you ride a motorbike. I've said it time and time again. It really is. The way I know it's been hard, and it's still being on a Moto3, but I think it's taught you so much about pushing the limit on a motorcycle that I personally think when you get onto a Moto2 bike, I think it's going to be a natural progression. I think it's going to be an absolute breeze. I was telling your dad the other day, I remember watching you as 12, 13-year-old on a 600 and going fast. I remember you coming to Kalami with me and my brother 2 years ago, climbing on a Ducati Panigale 11 V4 1100 for the first time and using auto blip and quick shift, and you were like on the pace straight away. So can't wait, my bud. Just carry on doing what you're doing. Don't let all the politics and that get you down. We absolutely love you. We scream for you. If my brother does break a TV one of these days, which he's going to do, I'm going to send you the bill.
Thank you guys so much. It's awesome to chat to you tonight. Thanks to everyone who tuned in here. I really appreciate all the support, and I'm looking for a solid second half of the season and then jump on a real bike.
Yeah, we love you, Daz. We love you, my bud. Keep doing what you're doing. If you can now, you can go eat your food, eat your chicken and potatoes, and introduce the next winner.
Okay, hold on. Let me just get my sister. Thanks, guys. Cheers.
I love it. Love you.
Love that, man. I love that, man. He's the coolest guy in the paddock. Is there anyone in the paddock cooler than him?
No, you know what? He's what motorcycle racing should be. Oh, look at this guy.
Oh, look at this guy.
How's it going?
Look at this. Didn't even get the KTM shirt after all that, eh? Yes. Like.
Yeah, shit. I was running a bit late here, so I thought I'd just stop by.
making some chicken with quartz. Brad, my bud, thank you so much for taking the time out to chat to us. I know it's busy with everything going on, but like I said to your brother, you've got 5 weeks, so I actually don't feel that bad this time. Give us a quick version of the first half of your season before we get into the in-depth questions from myself, Don, and all of our viewers.
Yeah, firstly, thanks for having me on the show again, guys. It's been a while. Yeah, I mean, at the moment, it's crazy to think we're already at mid-season. It's absolutely flown by. So, yeah, I mean, I wanted a whole lot more from my first half of the year, that's for sure. It's really, really unfortunate that we're already at mid-season, and I really expected to at least have a couple podiums by now. But, you know, that's not what the reality is. So, yeah, just had to really try and find my way this year. We've had some difficult times, and yeah, you know, I think I've finished my 3 best places, or 2 fifths and a 4th, and that's going to have to do for now. Second half of the year, we're going to have to make it count.
I want to know. Okay, this year there's been some sort of tricky bits. I think it all kind of started with the front tires not really working out for you and your bikes. Is it getting better? Are we sorting all of that out? Is it still an issue?
Things are much better, much better. You know, at the beginning of the year, that's what we're really missing, was that little bit of extra support we needed up front. But you know, KTM did an incredible job to bring us an update to Mugello that really turned everything around for us. It made things a whole lot easier, especially, you know, just I think the way we load the front tires is a little bit different. And yeah, you know, you gain that little bit of turning, it goes a long way. So yeah, KTM did an unbelievable job to bring us those updates, and I really feel like we're going to be in for a super strong second half of the year.
Just to enlighten us, I mean, we're not all the most mechanical minded. Well, no, I'm certainly not. When KTM and you guys say the changes that KTM have brought in, I mean, what, you know, we just look at a motorbike with Michelin tires on, and we look at it and we go, well, you know, how much can you honestly change to make such a big difference, particularly on the side of Miguel, who's really been transformed? What are the changes, and why do they seem to have suited Miguel a little bit more than you at the moment? Is it still a work in progress?
Yeah, yeah. You know, I think the thing with MotoGP at the moment is if you go 0.2, 0.3 quicker, you're in another league. You know, it's so incredibly close, and if you just find that any small step you find goes a really long way. You know, I like from the beginning when we got this new frame, Miguel loved it straight away. I also really liked it. It was definitely a step better. I just haven't quite found the way to ride the bike at its absolute limits as of yet. I'm a little bit behind where I want to be for sure. It's been a tough year for me. At the beginning of the year was a tough start, but also now going to these tracks for the first time on the MotoGP bike has been a huge challenge for me. I expected to adapt much quicker to the tracks with it being my second year around, but I felt exactly the same as it was last year, my rookie year, going to all the new tracks. So a little bit difficult on that side, but yeah, the some of the tracks coming up now, I've been to a lot of them, so that's great as well. And I look forward to just trying to really buckle down and get the results, because no one enjoys life at the back. So hopefully we can make some big changes.
I was going to say, because I was just watching your times at Assen, and I mean your race pace. I mean, people call you a Sunday man. Is it that the lights go off on Sunday and suddenly it's like all problems gone and you just kind of go, or is it a lot of it like a learning curve, especially places like Assen where the more time you spend on track, the better you feel, the more you kind of work it out. It sort of looked that way at Assen. Is that kind of right?
It depends a little bit on the track and the day, to be honest. But I always find I get better as I'd have more laps and understand more. I get faster and faster. And the biggest difference, the biggest reason why I can always improve a lot more my qualifying position on Sunday is that normally if I can do a lap time once, I can do it 20 times. Whereas a lot of guys, everybody has this ability to really up their time by, a good half a second in qualifying, where I'm missing that. And that's what's really hurting my races at the moment. So it would be great if I can really find that way to really up my game a little bit, just to get that little bit closer on the grid. That would help a lot, but the good thing is I want to fix that, but I still want to be 100% focused on always having the race pace when it comes down to it, because that's what gets you home at the end of the day. So we got a bit of work to do. Like I said earlier, it's been a tough start to the year, but I'm really confident that now I'm going to use this mid-season really wisely. I want to work my ass off, and if I don't get it right by the end of the year, I don't know.
You can come jump off cliffs with me on a Ducati. That's what you can do.
I'll go cliff diving with Uncle Rob.
You know what amazes me? Don and I do the Talking MotoGP show, and we actually have quite a few lady, viewers that come in and watch us. All of a sudden, Brad and Darryn come on, and we got like 50 million more. It's like I don't know why. Nadia, why do you think? Who do you think is the hardest competitor to ride against in MotoGP?
Oh, it's difficult to choose one guy or one person. I mean, the MotoGP is so hectic at the moment that there never seems to be the same guy each weekend. It always seems to be a little bit up and down, Like one day Fabio will be unstoppable. The next week, it's like Jack Miller won those 2 races in a row. And, it just depends. Like there's always someone new every weekend. It all just depends on the track and how everyone's bike is working on the day, it seems. But because, it seems in MotoGP that every single time you get to a different circuit, it always suits one manufacturer more than the other, or sometimes it's always a little bit up and down like that as well, which is something I'm getting used to in MotoGP at the moment. But if I had to choose one guy that's really, really hard to fight against in MotoGP, who always will maybe give you a little bit more of a hard time to get past, I think is 90% of the field. To be honest, to choose one is hard. But yeah, I don't know. Actually, I thought of one, then I thought not really. So who knows?
A few people are asking, which I had it down on my list. Tell us about, let me see, 362.4 kilometers per hour. And remember that, a lot of people will get on their souped-up Hayabusa and go on a 10 kilometer straight and do it. You did it in not even a kilometer. I mean, does that even register? You're doing 364 kilometers per hour. Does it register at all, or are you just so focused, so on it?
To be honest, it doesn't feel that fast. It sounds quite insane when you say it, but you get so used to it after time. The more sketchy thing in the speed is, I mean, as you know, I'm sure, I think you've both been to Mugello, how it has that little crest just before the braking zone. That's actually a jump on a MotoGP bike. So you actually, if you hit it dead straight, both wheels lift off the ground. So that's probably a lot more sketchy than the speed. But what's even more scary is when you miss your braking marker by a couple meters at 360 k's per hour, because I promise you don't stop as quick as you want to.
Okay, Wesley Taylor, with so many changes and guys swapping bikes, are you happy signing into a 3-year contract? Tell us about that, and I'm going to throw a little bit of a curveball along with that question. Did you have other offers on the table before signing this deal? And has it settled your mind going into races now, knowing you've got that 3-year confidence of this team backing you, and you're going to be a MotoGP rider for 3 years no matter what?
I mean, it was the thing for me is I've been a KTM guy basically my whole life so far. I had a few years at the beginning where we parted ways, but since 2015 I've been riding for the factory Red Bull KTM team. So that's where I want to be, and I feel like we have a story that's far from over. We almost got a Moto2 title, we got a Moto3 title, and the way they've been working and the updates they've brought us, and I have such confidence in the project and the guys around me that signing a 3-year deal for me was extremely, it was really an honor to get that opportunity, and I'm so excited for the times ahead. But at the same time, it's a 3-year deal, and I expect certain things from them, and they expect certain things from me. So we got a hard job ahead of us, but I'm confident that we'll make it a great one.
I want to know kind of like maybe some insight here. Okay, so you're very happy with your team. You've signed 3 years. That's really cool. You look across at what's going on in Yamaha. You've got old Maverick Vinales saying, look, I want out. And rumors are he's going to move across to Aprilia, which is a much, much smaller team. What do you think is sort of going on in his head? I mean, is it that big a problem when you don't get on and you don't think, you don't think you're being listened to and all of that? Is it worth it as in your mental state as a rider to go and move to something else like Aprilia?
That's a tricky one. I mean, at the end of the day, I think I found, especially in my career as well, when you're happy and you really got a good atmosphere around you is when you do well. And I find that I'm happiest when I ride my best too. So, I think maybe something there just wasn't quite clicking. They weren't maybe seeing eye to eye, and it's clear they obviously felt like, or at least Maverick feels like he can show more potential elsewhere. So, I know Maverick really well. He's a good mate of mine, and he's a super good guy, and he's super incredible. He's an amazing rider on his day. When he's on form, no one can touch him normally. So, I think if he gets to a place where he feels really, really comfortable and he can produce those, he can redo those performances week in, week out, I think we'll all be in trouble. So, let's see. I think it's going to be interesting for him. For sure, it's going to be difficult, I think, moving from that inline 4 to a V4, because I think they're all quite different. But especially the way you ride them and the way the bikes handle. But I'm pretty sure he'll sort it out.
Okay, Adrian Diamond here. It's a question I actually wanted to ask you as well. Do you think that your crew chief's inexperience is marginalizing your quali time? If I look at it, your crew chief for this year is one of your data guys or something from the Moto3 championship winning season that you had. Just clarify that. But on the other side, Miguel Oliveira's got Paul Trethan. I don't know actually how to say his surname, but the guy's been there from the start of the KTM project. Do you see that as an advantage, and do you think that is why maybe Miguel's got an upper hand on you? you say that you need to progress and get better this season. Do you think that your crew chief is still improving?
Look, I mean, my crew chief he's a weapon. He's a really, really great guy, and he's super good at his job. For me, he's done a really great job this year so far, and he has done throughout my career. He's always been really good to me, and definitely when it comes down to qualifying, I'm the one on the bike, so it definitely is not that. But yeah, I mean, the main thing you'll see in MotoGP is there's so many different people that each person has their specific job, and all decisions and everything is taken as a group. So even if a newer crew chief comes in or has a little bit less experience, you have all these guys around you that have so much experience that they would never let any decision go the wrong way. So yeah, not that that's happened, but that's just how things are. It's everything is taken. All decisions are taken as a group, and you have guys like Mike Leitner, obviously our team manager, who's been a crew chief for many years himself. So he's always got a watching eye, and the crew chiefs, like Paul and Andres, they take decisions together. We always test different things, and normally the setups are so super close that there's not much in it.
Slightly different question now. Sort of asked Darryn a similar kind of thing. Okay, the whole situation with all the different rules, especially in qualifying. I mean, favorite one for Rob and I to talk about is the yellow flag rule. Is it sort of a bit too much? I mean, we're looking at places like, especially in Germany, where you had Q2, and it was more like a gamble. I mean, you roll the dice. Are you gonna go through a yellow flag? And the guy who doesn't go through a yellow flag gets pole. Pretty much, that's how it kind of works. Is there any discussion about it? Your thoughts?
It's funny because I remember it was one of my first trips up into the safety commission where everybody was complaining about riders going flat out when there's yellow flags out. So then, then they brought this rule in that if there's a yellow flag, your lap gets cancelled. So you have to roll off. You have to roll off when you go past the yellow flag because obviously the lap doesn't count. So then everybody, I remember being super happy about that new rule. And recently it's been quite the opposite, where everyone's saying, hey, we need to do something about this because no one's actually doing a lap in qualifying. And if you don't set a lap in the beginning, at the end when everyone pushes and takes more risk, of course, there's always going to be more crashes. And, the guys or the stewards or the guys on top, whatever you want to call them, pretty much said, well, what can we do? That's how it was, and we had to change it because it was a safety issue. So, I think this yellow flag thing is going to stand. I don't see that disappearing anytime soon. But it is really frustrating because, there's so many times where you don't quite get that perfect lap, and a few tenths make such a huge difference. And then you're coming on a perfect lap where you're getting, you're improving your lap, or sometimes you can even be having some red helmets, and then you come up over the hill and you see a yellow flag and you just, straight away that's it, because you don't have any time left. The time's up and there's a yellow flag out and you haven't actually got the chance to show your potential. So, I mean, that was one thing that really bit me in Assen. I didn't put in one good lap. We had some issues that I was trying to figure out how I can ride around them. And on the last lap, I managed to do a solid first and second sector, and I went into T3 and I just saw a yellow flag, and that was it, So there you go, 21st place on the grid. And it's super frustrating sometimes. But at the end of the day, you need to also understand that, if you have a bike coming towards you at 300 k's per hour and you're lying in the gravel and something goes wrong, it's not going to end well. So there's two ways of looking at it. It's a little bit of a tricky one.
Brad, I want to, at Aston, you had a couple of issues, kind of the Friday practice, Saturday, that only really got sorted out in the warm-up or FP4 kind of on Saturday. how different is your attacking a track and making those steps when you're riding this bike that you're not feeling comfortable on, and then all of a sudden something clicks, and now everything changes. Brake markers change, getting on the gas changes. How? And I think that kind of looked like what happened in Essen, that you battled the whole weekend. Sunday comes and now you've kind of sorted it out, but now you haven't done a lot of laps on this bikes that's now sorted. Now everything seems to change. I mean, how difficult is that in a race weekend to adapt so fast, and how different is that feeling from not set up to perfectly set up?
It is difficult. The main thing is, like, when you arrive at a track and you don't really have any markers to start with, then you start to get your markers, and then all of a sudden you put in your soft set of tires, and the lap times improve by one second and more. So all your markers then change too, because obviously you're exiting the corners faster, so your braking markers come back a little bit, and it's difficult to adjust those two things. So I find once I really understand where I'm going and how I do the lap time and where I need to push to really improve it, is when I go fast. So, for example, in Sachsenring, I only sorted it out in FP4, and just missed going through to Q2. But I knew going into the race that I had great rhythm and I could be strong, even starting in 13th, because I could do that same lap time, lap after lap, and I felt comfortable. Whereas in Assen, the day one was tough. FP1, I just tried to find my way around. FP2, it ended up raining after the first 5 minutes, so didn't really get any track time there. FP3 actually felt great. I slowly got quicker every lap, and at the end of the session, I wasn't far away from being at least amongst that top 10. I just missed out by going through to the Q2 by 0.1. And all of a sudden, in FP4 and qualifying, something changed. I couldn't understand why, but I was struggling to hold the bike flat out, even in the straights. I had so much head shake that I couldn't commit to any of the fast corners, because if it was shaking so bad that I had to start rolling the gas so early that I'd just lose so much time over the lap. Obviously, if a guy's holding the throttle flat out for an extra 20 meters, you're winning such huge time at that high speed. And I was losing so much, and we couldn't understand why. And then in warm-up, we pretty much got on the one bike, and it was the same. So we didn't understand what was going on, swapped something completely for the race. And on the outlap of the race, I realized, okay, it's a normal bike again. And it took me a while to find my confidence and to figure out where I was going, because I'd had three or four sessions that were a complete disaster. So, all my references were off. Everything was not where I needed it to be. And by the time I woke up, it was about 10 laps to go in the race. And I improved my lap times quite a lot. My last lap was the same as my quickest lap of the race. And it was just too little too late, So that was really a frustrating weekend for me in Assen. When things are tough and then you can't quite figure out what's going on, it even makes it harder.
Actually, somebody just asked here, George Engelbrecht. I'm going to ask a similar question. Mark Marquez likes the whole sort of tactic of going out right behind somebody and just not, especially in qualifying, and he won't move. Doesn't matter if you signal him, anything like that. At Mugello, he went out behind you. Now, okay, a lot of other riders sort of freak out about it. What were your sort of thoughts? I mean, did you know he was there, or were you used to having taxis tailgate you your whole life, so it didn't really matter?
To be honest with me, it's always great to get a tow, but it's especially, I've never felt that it's really given me a huge advantage in many cases. I always find that I can do pretty much the same time alone or if I'm following somebody. And if we were just talking about this yellow flag situation and sometimes not even putting a lap in qualifying. So, if you have a guy behind you and you end up playing with him for a couple of laps, trying to see who wants to go first, many times you end up just messing up both your sessions. So, I've had it a couple times this year where I've tried to get Mark to just come past me. in Jerez and also in Mugello. And he just sits, you come out a corner and just smack the brakes and pull to the inside of the track, and there he is behind you. So it's funny, you kind of work out straight away whether a guy is not going to come past you, or you can just carry on like normal, let him go a bit and chase him. So when you normally in the situation when you see the guys not coming past, it's best just to put your head down and go. And it worked out best for me both times, so I can't complain.
And with Maverick, he got a bit out of sorts of it. Were you out of sorts at all? Did it affect you at all knowing he was there, or was it just who cares? Let's go. Again, you've been tailgated by big minibus taxis your whole life. We're South Africans. a little mark couldn't be too much of
it. Yeah, look, I mean, it's different, but for sure, South African traffic is something else. So. It's not too bad when you only got one guy to deal with.
So Brad, talking about that before I get on to the next fan question, what do you think the rule that's in Moto3 should come in? Where, I mean, it's getting a bit ridiculous now, where we see guys on live TV in MotoGP qualifying literally just cruising, waiting for a tow. In Moto3, you get penalized for that. Do you think that's something that should come into MotoGP with the yellow flag situation? Do you guys think there should be a super pole? I mean, what needs to change in qualifying? Because, like you said, I don't think it's 100% correct formula at the moment.
It was actually something that all the teams brought up in their meeting in Assen after Sachsenring especially, and we all got warned that if we mess around, we're going to be getting penalties from now on. I think the big thing in MotoGP is there's two things that come into play. One, you don't want to be in someone's dirty air, because also it creates a lot of turbulence, and you often get a lot of head shake, and the bike's really unstable at times too. So that's one thing that's going to slow you down. And secondly, you don't want to be the guy that tows the guy behind you up in front of you. It's never something you want to do. And I think Sachsenring in particular is just such a small track that when the track's only 1 minute 20 and you see a yellow flag, or a guy crashes right in front of you and the yellow flag's up, you're not going to go and push, because in 1 minute 20 you're going to cross that same yellow flag and your next lap's going to be cancelled. So that's one thing they didn't quite catch. I think the people didn't quite understand about Sachsenring is you actually have to make sure that next time you come around, there's no yellow flag, because otherwise your next lap's cancelled and there's probably not going to be one more. So that's why there was that whole massive group just sitting on the inside waiting. And it looked ridiculous. I mean, don't get me wrong, but I think there's also a bit of strategy that was going in behind the scenes there.
Yeah, you see, us normal people don't even think of that. So yeah, that's a brilliant explanation. Rob Gray. Now, Rob Gray, for all of you that don't know, is the guy that takes all the fantastic pictures of Brad Binder, Miguel Oliveira, the factory KTM Red Bull team that you see on Facebook, that you see in their press releases. So this is the guy that goes and makes these guys look better than they actually are. But his question here to you, Brad, is: did the mountain bike training in Andorra help you up your game? Because I see you were up mountain biking with him.
Yeah, shame. Old Rob and Gio, two of the guys in our team, they couldn't go home to England because of this whole Corona situation. Because if they went home, they wouldn't be able to go to Germany. So they came to Andorra for a week to do some mountain biking here, because there's some super cool routes, and I made the big mistake of meeting him at the bicycle shop after they got 2 e-bikes, and decided to go mountain biking with them when there's these bloody cliffs in this place that you need to get up to get to the route. So I think it definitely put my heart under some strain before the race in Germany, but it was good. I think that's one cool thing about living here as well. There's so many guys from the paddock around, and if you if you really enjoy mountain biking and getting out and stuff, it's a great place to be. So yeah, the boys are keeping me busy and keeping me strong before Germany, that's for sure.
Okay, I want to ask, now you're talking kind of being at home and stuff. There's a lady there named Courtney. Now, what we love about Courtney is that when somebody goes on one of the Facebook groups or something and says, you know, like you didn't have a great practice, like you don't have a great practice session or something, and somebody will chirp there, ooh, what is this, blah, blah, blah. Courtney comes in with daggers and completely rips it into pieces. So my question to you is, how's Courtney?
Yeah, Courts as well. She's just cooked us dinner, so I think she's waiting for me to finish up yet before she comes and does the dishes. So yeah, she's looking after us. But yeah, shame. You know, I think when Courts reads some of the stuff, and anyone that has something to say it's not nice or negative towards me, she's not stoked, especially when she knows what's going on behind the scenes. You know, so Courts always has my back. That's for sure.
Do you ever read stuff like that or not?
Sorry?
Do you ever read stuff like that, or do you not really look, or does it not bother you?
Honestly, I couldn't care less. So I just I never read the comments or anything like that, to be honest. You know, I mean, it is great when people are super behind you, and there's so many people that support me usually, but you know, you always get that one guy that has something to say. And, you know, no matter how many times you read it or if you think it's complete bullshit or not, it's not going to make you any faster. So I just tend to not even bother.
All you need to know is that Uncle Rob thinks you're a beautiful man. That's all you need to know.
And now everyone in our debrief know that too, because you mention it every time.
You know, that's every time they need to change the time of your debrief, because every time I get the message from Sebastian, I'm like, cool, I'm going to go on it. And then Nova has a poo nappy, or Trey is hungry and wants yogurt and custard and supper. And I'm like, I just want to talk to Brad in a debrief. Please, my beautiful kid. But then I don't have to talk to my Albert Peters says here, why don't you slide the bike as you did in Moto2, basically?
Well, firstly, the biggest thing is there's a ton of grip that comes from these Michelin rear tires, and if you can get the thing sliding, you know, you've done something not well, because you know you're going to be standing a ton of on the rear brake with a ton of pressure, and you're probably not stopping. So you know, I do tend to slide a little bit more than most guys on the MotoGP bike, but the Michelin rubber offers so much grip that it's actually difficult to do. And the big thing is also, if you slide like that, it's got so much traction that when it jumps back, it puts so much force on the front that it's also quite sketchy. So it's really different to Moto2 purely just because of the amount of grip that we have available. And yeah, you know, as much as I try to keep the bike straight, sometimes I still do get quite sideways. And it's not always the fastest way on the GP bike.
I want to know about the rest of the season. So we're halfway break now. What are you looking forward to for the rest of the season? Are there any tracks in particular you're interested in? And are you annoyed that Bruno's not there?
Not really. You know, I think it would have been cool to go back to Brno, because I obviously got my win there, so that was great. But you know, we have equal opportunity at every other track. So, you know, I'm dying to get some good results. Honestly, I've never been so frustrated in my whole life about how the beginning of a year has gone. I know what potential I have and I know what I can do, and I just haven't quite got it right yet. You know, I remember having a similar feeling in Moto2 in my second season as well. Whereas no matter what I tried, I just was a little bit behind where I wanted to be. And you know, I know from my previous experience that if I just keep working as hard as I can, that I'm going to get there. I don't know when, but I wish that I could say at the next race everything's going to be perfect, and I hope it is. And I really think I can do a great job in Austria especially. But you know, you just got to really buckle down and work hard when things aren't going well like now. And it makes you really appreciate the good days that much more. That's for sure.
Love it. Now, Brad, quickly, we're gonna start rounding off for the last couple of questions, but this is one that a lot of people ask. Now, you in the paddock, you've been in MotoGP, you've seen the guy. Richard Grimmett asks here, I have to ask this. Do you think Rossi is done? When you started out in MotoGP, you were awestruck to be riding with your childhood hero, and now you are consistently faster than him. Your thoughts? Now, before you answer that question, I want a lot of people to take this into consideration, and I want you to also answer this question. Could you imagine going as fast as Rossi is going when you are 42 years old?
Yeah, I've actually thought about this a little bit as well, and to be doing what he's doing and to have adapted over all these classes the way he has, and all the changes, all the different tires, everything has changed over all the years, and always been on top and always been there or thereabouts is actually unbelievable. I can tell you, I know exactly what it feels like to be at the end of a race in Mugello on a MotoGP bike, and let me tell you, you are dead. You don't have much left at all. There's you have given your absolute most for the most you possibly can for 45 minutes, and your body has no more at the end. And then you need to rest up and be ready by the next Friday to go and do it all again. And it's hard to make sure you recover perfectly just from week to week. And I can't imagine doing it at 42 years old. I mean, the way my body hurts on a Sunday night or a Monday morning is no joke. So to go through that for all these years is incredible. Secondly, I think he's got a lot of life left in him still. I think he's going through a rough patch at the moment for sure. But let's not forget, he's Valentino Rossi. And if anyone can sort it out, it will be him for sure.
Agreed.
That's really good news. People think there's kind of, okay, this is sort of shall we say, behind the scenes sort of question. People always seem to think there's bad blood between people. You know what I mean? In terms of MotoGP riders, all of that. I know you and Rossi had a few little kind of ding-dong moments. Are those sort of things, or is it just kind of like afterwards? I mean, now you say a whole lot of really cool stuff. Does it just get kind of shrugged off?
To be honest, I find that the media blow things out of proportion 10 love 9 times out of 10. So it's funny because I see it so often where people seem to have things to say in the media, but in reality, there's no issues. I think everyone gets on pretty well in the GP paddock. I can't say I've seen anyone that they just really, really dislike each other or hate each other, And I mean, earlier in the year, old Rossi said, "I don't respect anyone out on track." I don't know. I to be fair, I did ride into him a couple times, so I can understand he's a little bit upset. But we're out there doing our best, and sometimes shit happens.
I like it. I love these answers that Courtney's got standing behind you, like written on a board. I love it. It's like the PR chicks doing a brilliant job in the background there. There was a question here that I've now lost, as always. The question was, we don't see you dangling your leg under hard braking in MotoGP. Is it something that you've tried, that you don't want to try, that you just don't feel comfortable doing?
I do a little bit on the left-hand side. When I'm turning left, I will stick my leg out a little bit. I find it helps with a little bit of the stability going into corners. But the main reason why I don't use it is, especially on the right-hand side, is I normally push the rear brake before I start braking with the front. So I'm pushing the rear brake in my whole braking zone. So if I take my leg off and I don't have that extra braking power, I don't feel like I'm stopping as well. So that's why I always keep the right leg on the pegs, and the left leg sometimes I'll stick out, especially when you're going into a corner and you're a little bit like off balance, or you're just trying to get the weight of the bike over. Sometimes it helps just to get the bike to flick into the corners. But yeah, some guys do it a lot, and yeah, it's something I've tried. Obviously, and it's just something that I didn't feel a huge benefit with when I was doing it. So I just kind of stick to what I feel comfortable with.
Have you ever tried a thumb brake? Those thumb rear brakes?
The main reason behind everyone using a thumb rear brake is because they're not comfortable with pushing the rear brake in right-hand corners when you're in the center of the corner. And yeah, for me, anyone that knows me, I have tiny feet, so I have no issue at all to keep my foot on the rear brake lever and get the thing stopped without having to lift my foot up and get off the lever on full angle. So I'm quite lucky with that. So I've never needed to really try a thumb rear brake. But a lot of the guys do use them, and the main thing with the MotoGP bike is you use a lot of rear brake in the straights as well. Just to keep the wheelie down in places, because it's most of the time it's better to use a bit of rear brake than roll the throttle, or to just let the electronics cut all the power when it's wheeling. So you standing on that rear brake all the time, and if a guy's not really comfortable using it and they prefer it on their thumb, it's a big advantage to use the rear brake rather than not use it, because you don't like the feeling of it.
Yeah, let me tell you how small Brad's feet are. I'm a UK 7, and which is big for my age, but it's a tiny shoe size, okay? And then when I get leads from these guys to do the auctions and stuff and the charities for Nova and that, I'm like, you know what? I'm going to keep myself one pair. How cool will I look in the magazine with a pair of Brad boots on? And then I get like my big toe in it, and I go like, I'm a UK 7. That's small. It's crazy. I'm hoping to get a pair of Brad's boots and Darren's boots at the end of the year, and then maybe I can wear Darren's boots. Brad, just quickly, Mile from Moto Uno Racing asks, please ask Brad, when you set off from the pits, you guys run upside down gear shifts, but a lot of time you guys climb on and you push it down a gear. Do you guys set off in second, or do you set off in first gear?
So how it works is actually we do pull off in first gear, but our gearbox has first gear to sixth gears in a row. We don't have neutral in between first and second. So we actually have a lever on the handlebar that we push, and when we're in first gear, we push a lever that opens opens the gate or whatever it is, and we can pull the gearbox up one more click, and it goes into neutral. So they do that purely so you can't have a false neutral going into a corner. And so that's why you always see all the guys clicking the bike down into first gear on the grid, and not up like a regular street bike.
I want to know about the launch control things. Your bike, I mean, okay, some of the teams have got it front and rear, and it works going down the straights, just any straight. Your bike obviously has it too. Doesn't make a big difference. And does the squatting device work when you're normally going down the straight? Does that also? Can you feel that? And some of the guys were saying, the Honda riders in particular, that it was upsetting them when they pulled brakes and the sort of thing would come back up again. Have you had any feeling like that?
It is a bit of a strange feeling when you start to use it. When we first got the device, I think it was in Valencia at the end of last year, every time I'd come into a braking zone and pull the front brake, I wouldn't quite feel so safe. But it's like developing a rear shock, or developing a new part on the bike where they need to set the thing up, and it takes a bit of time, but the guys work on it, and now I can go into a corner and brake and grab the front brake as hard as I want with the rear completely squatted, and it's perfect. So I have no issues at all. It just depends, some tracks, if you're braking with a little bit of angle, it's sometimes not perfect. But when you grab the front brake with the bike up straight, there's no issues at all. And it is quite cool. I actually quite like using it. One thing is it makes the bike super stable when you make it so low in the rear. And that's quite nice when you're at such high speed.
Brad, I actually wanted to ask about that. if I look at Assen in particular, where you come out of those double rights into those fast right-handers before you end the lap, I mean, Fabio Quartararo was running into the back of Bagnaia, and I look at that and I think, how do you guys set that squat device up? Can you set it up for only the slow turns? Because it seemed to me as if Bagnaia was going into those fast turns, the squat device was working, which means it was lifting the front, and he just couldn't get the bike turned, whereas Quartararo was stable, the squat device wasn't activated and planted. So is that squat device, does it work by itself? Do you have to push the button? Do you have to, I mean, how does that all work actually?
Each bike is different. I don't really know what I'm allowed to say and what I'm not, but I like, for instance, I know Ducati, theirs works in a way that you don't have to push anything. Well, basically they have, it's like a lockout on a front fork on like a mountain bike, and it's either activated or not. So when you enter a corner where there's a straight after, you clip the button, you basically flip the switch before you go in, and as soon as there is enough pressure on the rear tire, it drops on the exit of the corner by itself. And then as soon as it drops, they need to lock it again. So when they brake and it lifts up, then it's locked and it's in place again. So then you got your normal ride height. Whereas as far as I know, almost every other bike works on you have a lever that you push a lever and it drops. So you decide when you want to drop it.
Cool. Quick one. Someone was asking you about Miguel Oliveira and you guys sharing data. More so than that, I mean, do you guys share data at all? Do you ever look across and go, what the hell is he doing? And in terms of you two as riders, I mean, is there any conflict in terms of, the development of the bike or the way the bike needs to go, or are you mostly in agreement? How is all that?
Yeah, I mean, the how it works in the box is everything's open. All data is shared. We can see every click, there's not one item on the bike or one bit of data that's hidden between me, Miguel, Petrucci, and also Ikea. So between all 4 KTMs, everything's on the table. And I think for us, normally what works for one works for the other. Normally, what one likes, we all like. And we see it normally, not just with me and Miguel, but also with like Pedrosa, for instance. When he finds something that he likes and we try it, normally we like it straight away as well. So, I think there's a way to go fast on the bike, and we all have the same feeling. And anything we bring that improves it improves it for all of us. So, yeah, the good thing is I think we have quite similar riding styles as well, which helps. And that it's really good because so far we've never had a point where we want to kind of develop the bike in a different way. Everything that works for one seems to work for both of us, at least so far.
Okay, Brad, we're not going to keep you much longer because you still have a bath to run and roast people to cut and stuff. Danny Pedrosa is apparently doing a Milano wildcard ride. That's going to be exciting. And I mean, I remember last time we spoke to you, you said Danny is still ridiculously fast. How's it going to be having a third factory Red Bull KTM machine there? You looking forward to it?
Yeah, I've heard. I've only heard rumors in my debriefs or like now today. So no one in my team's ever said anything, to be honest. So I don't know if there's much truth behind it or not. But I think he's an impressive rider, old Danny. I wouldn't be surprised if he comes in and he surprises a whole lot of people if he does do a wild card. He's been a test rider for a good couple of years now for KTM, 2-3 years already. And I think for him it would be super cool to get back on a racetrack because it's clear he still has the speed. So if that happens or not, I have no idea. But if he does come back, it will be really cool to see Danny back on the grid.
Shall we let him go have his chicken and bubble bath?
The bubble bath's not for him. The bath's for Courtney. Brad, just final question for you. Darryn, how impressed have you been with Dazza this year?
Yeah, look, old Daz, he's been killing it this season. He's been so good. I think he's been so unlucky in so many times this season, and it's sometimes I want to pull my hair out of some of these penalties and stuff he's been getting, because I find it so unfair, and it's frustrating as hell, because like sometimes when you see these pit lane penalties or ride throughs or something like that, I think sometimes that people forget how hard people work to get there, and how hard everyone in the team work over the weekend to try and give yourself the best opportunity for Sunday, and then they just wipe you out before it all starts. So the way Darryn's handled all these situations has been quite impressive. I think he's really grown up and matured, and I think he's got a great second half of the year coming.
He's got his own hashtag. It's hashtag FUP, which I think a lot of people have that. So well done to him.
Yeah, look, I was lying on my couch before the race, and I saw him on TV, obviously, but I never had the volume on, because I was don't know what I was doing, but I was doing something, and then the next thing, old Sheridan sent me a video of Darryn, and then when I watched it, I was like, oh no, Daz. So well, that's Daz.
And he was in the Netherlands, so he basically said he wants to have intimate relations with a cat.
That's what I understood.
Brad, Darryn, thank you so much, guys, for taking the time out. We really do appreciate it. I'm sure you can see by the comments going down the side here. You are loved, you are cherished, you are respected, you are adored here in South Africa and worldwide, to be honest. The Darryn Binder and Brad Binder fan base is growing by the second. You guys are the perfect ambassadors for us. You guys have, made so many people's dreams come alive. You guys are making others dream. You guys are giving hope to all of us here in South Africa and the next breed of motorcycle racers. You guys really are fantastic. Taking your time out to do this, and just the way you talk to us with the passion and the information that you give us is just spectacular. So from myself, Don, everyone that's tuned in fact, the whole of South Africa, other than those idiot keyboard warriors that we'll find one day and we'll kill them.
We're going to set Courtney on them, definitely.
Yeah, we're going to set courts on them. But we can't thank you enough. And I know you say it's hard times, and I know you put a lot of pressure on yourself, and I know you say you run at the back. I want you to know that you are a superstar. You are the greatest rider in that paddock. You are the fastest man in the paddock. You are the most beautifulest man in that paddock. And we absolutely love you, dude. Just keep doing what you're doing, and know that when you are at your lowest and when you feel like everything's going wrong, just know that you've got an entire country, an entire world behind you, and you've got a Courts, a Daz, a Shaz, a Trevor, a Parrot that doesn't shut up. You've got all of us behind you.
Oh, that's so cool. Thank you so much, guys, for having me on your show, and thank you to everyone for tuning in and all the questions. It's been super cool catching up with you guys, and I look forward to catching you all soon.
Yeah, we'll do it again soon. So now, you have to somehow go find some roses and then just cut them 15, 1-5. Because 14's too little and 16's too much. Okay.
Oh, really? Okay, I'll keep that in mind when I lay them down.
Dude, thank you so much again.
Thanks so much,
everybody for tuning in. Thank you so much. Tune into Motor Rider World. Support Motor Rider World. We're going to try and bring you as much entertainment as we can over the 5-week break. But from myself, the caddy cliff diver, Don, Brad, and Darryn Binder, it is goodbye until next time. Please stay safe out there in this crazy world, and we'll catch you next time. Cheers.
Cheers, guys.